You hear that, Turner?
What's that?
That beautiful noise is our brand new, it doesn't say hot take, but it's our brand new hot take button. Listen to that. Anytime we want to chime in with a hot take, we press the button, and all of a sudden, you guys know when we're about to drop a beautiful hot take for you.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, nothing like upgrading the podcast here. Had a very successful week this week. Shout out to the listeners. We're going to give you guys a 3-second clap because you killed it on the listening this week. All kinds of views. So thank you guys so much for your support of this amazing podcast that we've been able to run. You guys are awesome, and we love hearing your insight on stuff, which we did get insight from you this week. We had a fan vote on our most recent episode on whether or not we should add yet another sport to the podcast, and we had one singular vote, and it was a yes. So now this podcast will feature NHL news and topics and stuff every single week. So 3-second clap to that one viewer that voted for that on the podcast. Glad to, add more sports vocabulary to us.
Now we can give you our spicy takes and our funny jokes for NHL too.
Yeah, I mean, our knowledge of hockey isn't amazing, but we did go to a game last night, so we got to get some experience. It's an AHL game we saw. It was our local Texas Stars playing against the Ice Hogs, Rockford Ice Hogs.
Yep.
So Dallas Stars minor league team and the Chicago Blackhawks minor league team. Chicago won. It was thrilling. Very back and forth game, 3-4 ending, and Texas nearly came back late. So,
yes.
Also got to dap up some of the players.
That was fun.
May or may not be coming out on the YouTube channel later this week.
Maybe. We'll see.
We shall see, but we did get some video evidence.
Okay.
Alrighty. So, if we're a little off our game today, please excuse us because we were both up late last night hanging out with some friends going to the aforementioned hockey game. So we're both rather tired.
Yes, but we're still going to do our best to give you your favorite sports content.
On your favorite sports podcast, hopefully.
I hope so.
So first thing we got to talk about, we normally start with the NBA and basketball, but today is a little bit different because oh my, did the NFL throw us a curveball. Free agency wasn't supposed to start for a few more days. But yeah, players have been toppling like dominoes in the market, going all over the place. And now there's barely even any good free agents left.
Yeah, it's honestly been a very shocking week in the NFL free agency.
2 weeks ago, we talked about our running back predictions, and let's just say I'm pretty sure none of us got a single one of them right on which team they went to, right?
You did say Derrick Henry to the Ravens, so
Did I?
I think so.
It's been a while. I wouldn't remember, but yeah, very crazy week for running backs specifically, but also quarterbacks. So we have a list pulled up here of signings, and we're going to talk about the big ones for every team. We're going to start off in alphabetical order. So the Arizona Cardinals were able to secure the playing time of Sean Murphy-Bunting, who originally had played for the Buccaneers, I do believe.
That does seem correct, but that is a good corner, but that's really the only move that Arizona Cardinals made. I don't really think they're in any sort of a win now scenario. I still think they're going through a rebuild currently.
Yeah, I don't hate it. They still have a pretty high pick, trying to build around Kyler Murray and maybe even James Conner, but don't really have a whole lot of talent on that roster, just trying to, keep getting picks, loading up on those.
Yep.
So the Atlanta Falcons were one of the bigger teams because they finally got themselves a quarterback. 3-second clap to the Falcons, man. Glad to see that they spent the big money on a quarterback. They signed Kirk Cousins, and let me just press this handy little button here. He got the bag, guys. $180 million for 4 years. Huge quarterback deal.
And there's almost $50 million of that getting guaranteed money?
It's a lot of guaranteed money that he's getting at signing, I think.
Yeah, he's done a really good job throughout his career of getting contracts with lots of guaranteed money. That's something that Kirk Cousins has specialized in throughout his career, and I think he's the fifth highest paid player by guaranteed money in NFL history.
Yeah, he deserved it. He did really good with the Vikings. Let him do a few playoff series. I think he can do amazing things with this young Falcons offensive team. Like last year, it was pretty bad under Desmond Ritter
and Arthur Smith.
They've completely rebuilt that. Now they got Kirk Cousins who can get the ball to his guys.
They've got Kirk Cousins. They've got Drake London. They've got Kyle Pitts. They've got Bijan Robinson. And they've got Darnell Mooney, who they also signed.
Yeah, sneaky good signing. I've always been a Darnell Mooney guy. Glad to see him get on a team where he'll probably make a big usage.
Yeah, he can be the wide receiver 2 now on that team, or maybe even step into a wide receiver 1 role.
Yeah. The Baltimore Ravens had a huge week. I'll say this much. So good a week, it might make them AFC Championship favorites. Just a precursor to something there. They got Justin Madwabwike.
Not a BK.
Not a BK. Sorry for fumbling that name pronunciation. More sounds. I'm just playing around with this thing. Sorry, we just got it, and I love it so much.
Yes,
Glad to have audio.
Jaxson is very much enjoying it.
Glad to have audio on the podcast. But yeah, Matabike, really, really good defender. Did he lead the league in tackles last year? I feel like he was pretty close at least.
Yeah, he was definitely at the top of the tackle leaders. I couldn't tell you if he was in first though.
But yeah, he's great. Love to see him go to re-sign with a contender. 4 years, $98 million, a lot of money. And the crazy part is that's not even their best signing because they got Derrick Henry for what feels like dirt cheap for his services.
$8 million a year.
He's making $8 million a year, $16 million over the course of 2 years. The Ravens kind of fleeced Derrick Henry in this one, but now the King goes to Baltimore where he's got a chance to win a ring. I'd love to see the King with a ring.
Now the Baltimore Ravens have 2 superstar running backs, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry.
Yeah. King's playing in the Queen City. I think Baltimore is super deadly on defense and offense this time. And then next team on the list for us to go over is the Bills, which I've been very disappointed.
It's been a pretty disappointing free agency so far.
They've lost a lot of players and have not really brought in a whole lot of guys. I mean, they gave Cam Lewis an extension, gave Taylor Rapp an extension, gave David Edwards an extension.
Deion Dawkins an extension, also got one.
Yeah, and then they gave Epinesa a new contract, Daquan Jones a new contract. They signed Mitchell Trubisky, which interesting decision to spend a decent amount of money on a backup. But Matt Collins currently is my favorite signing from them because when he was playing with the Falcons, he was shredded like a Greek god, shredded like chicken. Unbelievable. He's got a body, and he might be able to help him out a lot. He's probably going to fit into that wide receiver 3 role.
He's going to really have to probably play an important role for us since, well, we're going to get into it later. We lost Gabe Davis.
Yeah. So you guys will get to find out where he goes. But Bills, it was not their greatest offseason. Panthers, however.
The Panthers actually did really good.
Yeah, they re-signed a lot of their guys, and they also were able to secure Deontay Johnson, Dame Jackson, and Robert Hunt, who I'd say were probably their 3 biggest signings. Gives them a good offensive lineman. Gives them Deontay Johnson, who's obviously probably going to be their best receiver now, because Adam Thielen, he's kind of a little bit older than your average wide receiver.
Yeah,
I'll say that
I
much.
guess that's true.
And Dane Jackson, he played on the Bills. He's pretty good in coverage. So,
however, I am not labeling the Carolina Panthers as a winner of free agency because they made a very head-scratching move. They traded Brian Burns, their best defensive player. I'm not going to tell you who. We'll get to that later. But they got back a 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick.
I mean, they probably did save a ton of cap because he was going to demand the bag.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Last season, at the trade deadline, they were offered multiple firsts from the Los Angeles Rams for him.
That is true. It's a classic head-scratching move of holding on to your players for too long.
Yeah, man. This is like I would be very disappointed if I was a Carolina Panthers fan because this feels like it might end up being just as bad of a move as the DJ Moore trade was.
Yeah, Panthers, they need to get some help. They're not the greatest team on either side, the playing side or the managing side.
Yeah.
I mean, Masai Ujiri is kind of like the Raptors general manager. He's kind of known for holding on to players for a long time. But I got to say, he did a great job in the Anunoby trade, so I'm never going to give him crap for that ever again.
How'd you manage to swing this to the Toronto Raptors? We were talking about the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah. Sorry. getting off point here. Chicago Bears made some pretty big signings. One that I did not know they did was Gerald Everett.
Yeah, they did. They are big winners in free agency right now. They were able to re-sign Jalen Johnson, get him locked down for 4 years, one of the best corners in the NFL. They were able to get DeAndre Swift, which I think is going to be a great signing for them because they really like to rely on their run game. They were able to get Gerald Everett, which doesn't really make that much sense if you ask me, seeing as they already had Cole Kmet.
They're not really paying him much. It's 2 years, $12 million though.
And then they got Kevin Byard, who's one of the best safeties in the NFL. So they really were able to upgrade their defense and their running back. And they still have 2 top 10 picks. And Justin Fields is still likely to be traded here in the next couple of days. So things are looking pretty good for the Chicago Bears coming into next season.
Yeah, honestly, they got good guys at every position that they needed to. Cornerback, running back, lineman, tight end, safety. They did a great job, and it's time for me to use the first hot take button of the episode.
Let's go.
The Bears are not trading Justin Fields.
Oh.
They're not doing it. He's going to be their starting quarterback of the future. They're going to use that first-round draft pick to go get somebody nasty on defense or Marvin Harrison.
That is very much a hot take, but Marvin Harrison and DJ Moore would be a pretty good combination on offense.
And Cole Kmet.
And Gerald Everett.
And DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, they could definitely make a push to win that division next season.
That might be a hot take, but we'll save it for later. The Cincinnati Bengals has some head-scratching moments. First of all, they cut Joe Mixon.
No, they traded him.
Traded Joe Mixon. My bad.
They were going to cut him. They ended up trading him. I don't even know what they got back. It was like pocket change since they were already planning on cutting him anyway.
They did end up getting Zach Moss for 2 years, $8 million, which is they're giving him $4 million a year. And he was really good as the starting running back last year with the Colts. So honestly, probably a good decision. I personally would not have cut Joe Mixon for him, but
they also got Mr. Worst Gritty in the NFL himself, Mike Gesicki.
Yeah, shout out 3-second clap to Mike Gesicki's terrible gritty. I love seeing him score touchdowns and hit whatever atrocious version of the gritty he does. Keep doing that. I love it. Everybody loves seeing that. Even when you played for the Dolphins, as a Bills fan, I still loved seeing it. So they also got T. Higgins to a franchise tag, but there's a problem with that.
He is currently requesting a trade from the Cincinnati Bengals. There have been multiple teams that have shown interest, but nothing has really come up yet. But I would assume something's likely going to get done here in the next week or so, in which T. Higgins gets traded and gets paid an absolute bag.
Yeah. I mean, does he carry the franchise tag with him? Probably not, right?
No.
Okay.
He doesn't want to play on the franchise tag. That's why he's trying to get moved. He's trying to get moved somewhere that would pay him. That's the same thing that happened with Brian Burns. So.
You know what? You pause this segment. Where do you think he's going? Just pick a team. Where's he going? Who's trading for him?
I don't like it, but I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to get him.
Dude, how are we thinking the same thing?
Because they need a receiver.
Yeah, and for some reason, they got money because Patrick Mahomes just restructured $20 million in cap space.
After Josh Allen restructured his contract, you literally said Mahomes would never do that.
Well, I lied because Mahomes apparently really is that guy. So I'm a Bills fan, but I got to give it to Patrick Mahomes.
He's good. Very talented player.
Cleveland Browns were able to secure Jameis Winston as a backup quarterback instead of Joe Flacco, and also got Zadarius Smith in the pass rush. If you don't hear Turner for a little bit, it's because he's currently weeping tears because his team is losing by 2 in hockey, which we're watching a game right now and filming the podcast at the same time, so that's kind of fun. But, yeah, we need to focus on this, Turner. Stop watching your team lose.
Okay.
So, yeah, they got Zadarius Smith, 2 years, $23.5 million, to add to their already nasty defense.
Yes, he's going to fit really, really well next to Myles Garrett, and that's one of the best big two in the NFL.
Yeah, they might be coming off different ends of the line. How are you supposed to run an outside play?
That's going to be pretty evil, but that might still not be the best duo in the NFL because of some other things that happened in free agency.
Yeah. Dallas Cowboys fans, I would begin to question absolutely everything right now about your team. First of all, no restructured contract has come for Dak Prescott yet, which,
No restructuring, no extensions. They lost Tony Pollard.
yeah, we'll get into that later, but they they're not really doing a whole lot. They've signed 2 linebackers to 1 year, I think, minimum deals.
They signed Eric Kendricks, and they signed a long snapper.
Oh, a long snapper. All right, I thought that was LB. My bad. Sorry. Looking at it from a distance, sleep deprived. Just trying to get a good episode out here. But yeah, Cowboys have done completely nothing. They've literally lost their starting running back. Denver Broncos, on the other hand, finally got rid of Russell Wilson.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Their biggest problem with that is they're still paying him $40+ million this season.
Yes, they have to take on an absolutely massive amount of dead cap now, which is really going to hinder their franchise for the next couple of seasons. So they were not really able to go out and make any free agent signings. They currently don't really have a starting quarterback going into next season. So they're probably going to be looking towards the draft for that.
Yeah, I think they'll draft a quarterback pretty highly. They got 2 decent safeties, re-signed their kicker, and re-signed Will Jordan Humphrey, who has one of the best names in football. Those are currently my best things for them. Detroit is up next on our list, and it feels like they've been quiet, but honestly, this list is not bad. Amik Robertson, decent corner. They've gotten Emmanuel Mosley to re-sign, and got Carlton Davis, also from the Buccaneers, I think.
Yep.
So yeah, they really stocked up at corner. Got Marcus Davenport on the edge, and re-signed one of their guards. So not a terrible free agency. I wouldn't say it was great, but it's like slight upgrades. Green Bay went crazy. They literally cut Aaron Jones, which nobody in their right mind, especially not Aaron Jones, was expecting. I think he was pretty frustrated by it, if I was, remembering. But they replaced him pretty well. They got Josh Jacobs and gave him one of the biggest bags I've seen for a running back in a while. $48 million over the course of 4 years.
Yeah, that's a pretty big contract for running backs. You really don't see them get that high, but they were willing to pay him. They really believe that he is going to be better than Aaron Jones, which I currently question that decision, but
Aaron Jones now plays for one of their divisional rivals. And I guess since I already talked about the Bears and the Lions, it's not both of them. Yeah, he signed with the Vikings. So he's going to have some revenge games against the Packers, if you ask me. Besides that, they haven't really done much, so stayed basically the same. They did get a safety, but the Houston Texans have had a kind of crazy free agency.
Houston Texans have had the best free agency out of any team so far. I'm just going to say that right now.
That's a hot take for sure.
Okay, I'm going to give you the rundown on what they've done so far. They got Joe Mixon in a trade from the Bengals. They didn't have to give up really anything to go get him. They got Dalton Schultz re-signed. They got Danielle Hunter, who's now going to complement Will Anderson, and what I would say is the best defensive duo in the NFL now. They got quarterback Desmond King re-signed. They got Eric Murray re-signed. They got Jaime Fairbairn re-signed. They did a really good job. They've really built their team to succeed around CJ Stroud, which is really impressive because it's going to be Stroud's second season next year, and I think they could already be competing for a championship. That might be another hot take.
That definitely is another hot take. But no, they have had a great free agency, re-signing a lot of their good guys and getting improvements on defense. And honestly, until yesterday, it looked really bleak for them, actually, because, they hadn't gotten a running back, and a lot of running backs were off the table, and everyone was like, oh, that's the position they need to upgrade at. But then they went out and they traded for Joe Mixon.
I think they traded a late round pick for him.
Yeah,
so it was a real fleece job.
They traded pennies for him. So honestly, unbelievable. In a few weeks, we could be talking about the Houston Texans, being a potential contender.
Yeah.
Indianapolis Colts really just kind of kept their core, kept their punter, re-signed Kenny Moore and Zaire Franklin, as well as Michael Pittman. So
yeah, they were pretty quiet. Just wanted to make sure they brought back their talent, which they did a good job of.
Honestly, a kind of boring free agency, but nonetheless, not a bad free agency. Jaguars, 2 guards, Mitch Morse and Urza Cleveland. I think that's Urza, or is it Ezra?
It's Ezra.
My bad. They franchise checked Josh Allen, and they traded for Mac Jones.
That was a head-scratching move. But I guess it does give them a bit of extra security behind Lawrence.
To me, it's not a head scratching move because Lawrence got hurt last year and it completely toppled their season. So,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I was devastated that they got Gabe Davis from the Bills. That is very sickeningly sad.
They took two players from the Bills, man. They got both our ex center Mitch Morse and ex wide receiver Gabe Davis.
Yeah,
So, two of the better players from the Bills team last season. So, good for them. They have done a good job in free agency so far.
yeah. And so if the Kansas City Chiefs, who have really just re-signed a bunch of their guys and then added on punter Matt Ariaza, who has an absolute missile for a leg. There were some allegations against him that have gotten dropped because they were alleged and not, real allegations. But, he's absolutely insane. I've seen him punt. It's crazy. He's got a nuke for a leg. He's going to be ridiculously good with the Chiefs.
They also did franchise tag L'Jarius Sneed. However, he is another player who has currently requested a trade because he doesn't want to play on the franchise tag.
Yeah. Las Vegas, they've made some interesting moves. First of all, they lost Josh Jacobs, which is going to hurt, but they got Gardner Minshew at quarterback. He was commanding the Colts to nearly a playoff spot last year.
I think that's a pretty good. I think that's a pretty good move for them. I don't think he's the greatest quarterback they could have gotten, but definitely not the worst player in the world.
I mean, I just want to say this: 1, Derek Carr; 2, Jimmy Garoppolo; and 3, Gardner Minshew. It feels like they like to play safe with quarterbacks. Am I right? They like to take on those kind of more veteran players and work through them. Let more experienced guys run the offense.
I've got a hot take.
I want to hear it.
They aren't done yet because they're going to trade for Justin Fields, and that's what they're planning to do for the quarterback position.
That would be interesting if they got Justin Fields because right now I feel like he would command the ball as a running back ish like quarterback.
Well, they don't have a running back, so it would be a good fit.
Yeah. But yeah, Raiders, they got a good defensive presence to put next to Max Crosby. Can they contend in the AFC West this year? Might be looking at them.
I don't really know. The amount of talent in that division from both the Los Angeles Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs makes it really difficult for them to compete at all.
Yeah, it's obviously the Chiefs' division to lose. But the next team, they could have gone big, but they've gone small.
They couldn't have gone big. They had no cap.
Well, they could have tried to restructure some deals and stuff, but
They
haven't even done anything. So they got Gus Edwards to a really small contract.
Did you ever say what team it was?
This is the Chargers we're talking about. I just realized I forgot to say that. But they lost Austin Eckler and got Gus Edwards to play running back. They lost Gerald Everett, replaced him with Will Disley, and they got safety Alohi Gilman re-signed. So it's been very quiet for the Chargers. It was kind of expected. They're going to release Mike Williams because they're way over the cap, even with, not releasing Mike Williams. But
they had to release Mike Williams in order to get under the cap today before the new league year started. They also had to restructure the contract of Khalil Mack, but they are able to still retain Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Khalil Mack, and Joey Bosa. So honestly, this is a pretty successful offseason so far for the Chargers. They've been able to maintain their core. They still have that number 5 draft pick this year. They brought in the new head coach. They brought in the new general manager. They could have success this year.
I wouldn't necessarily say they retain their core because Eckler's gone, but
Eckler wasn't doing them much good last year.
He was not last year, but historically he's pretty good for their franchise. So Chargers, I don't know. Rams, pretty boring. They got Kobe Parkinson and then re-signed a bunch of guys. So
yeah, their best signing was guard Kevin Dotson, which is a good signing to help protect Matthew Stafford in his last couple of years here in the NFL.
Yeah, he's getting on it. But Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, they got a good offense to build around. So maybe they can go get another championship in the future. Miami has been stealing the Dolphins, just to clarify, Miami Dolphins have been stealing players from the Bills like crazy. They got Siren Neal today. They got Jordan Poyer on a $2 million deal.
Absolute
yesterday.
steal.
Shaq Barrett as well. Obviously, they're going to lose Christian Wilkins, but not overly bad from the Miami Dolphins, just replacing what they've currently lost. Then we got the Vikings. Vikings,
The Vikings have had a very disappointing free agency.
2 edge rushers, Sam Darnold and Aaron Jones, re-signing some guys, but other than that, not really doing anything.
They've lost Daniil Hunter. They've lost Kirk Cousins. Their starting quarterback for next season right now is either Sam Darnold or Joshua Dobbs.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson is probably weeping right now.
Justin Jefferson is probably spending his last year in Minnesota right now.
I've heard a lot of trade rumors, so maybe he'll be on the move here in the next couple of weeks.
He would have to be absolutely hauled for. I would just wait for him to be in free agency.
But yeah, the only real good move that the Vikings made, they got Andrew Van Ginkel off the edge to replace Daniil Hunter, which is still a slight downgrade. And they did get Aaron Jones, which is really the only thing they were able to do. But they're still in desperate need of a quarterback. Maybe they trade for Justin Fields. I don't know.
I don't think they do that interdivisional, but at the moment, it looks like Sam Darnold is going to start for the Minnesota Vikings this season. New England Patriots, a lot of re-signings, but also they got Kyle Duggar, and it looks like who's going to be their quarterback right now, Jacoby Brissett, along with Antonio Gibson from the Commanders.
They're definitely going to draft a quarterback with the 3rd overall draft pick. Probably Drake May.
Yeah.
I feel like that's somebody who would really fit their style of play. But
Looking at the list right now, they also got a ton of linebackers and tight ends. They got Hunter Henry. They got Austin Hooper. They got Sion Taki, great name, by the way. Christian Ellis. And there's one more. Oh, yeah, Anthony Jennings. So they got a lot of linebackers, which they kind of needed. They need a lot of stuff, let's be honest.
they're also going to get Matthew Judon back, so that's always helpful.
Yeah. New Orleans, 3 re-signings. DeMario Davis, Willie Gay, and Tyrann Mathieu. So,
Yeah, that's about it.
boom, boom, boom.
Willie
You can
Gay
just
was
list
not
them
a
off.
re-signing. They got him from the Chiefs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my bad.
The New York Giants, who, even though they did lose Saquon Barkley, we're not going to tell you where he went yet, but they did get Brian Burns, which they
Huge
did not
signing.
have to give up much for when it comes to the trade, but they did give him a ton of money. A 5-year, $150 million contract.
Yeah, bro, absolutely cashed out in New York. So, and he deserves it. Now he's going to be playing on a front with who's that guy from Clemson? I'm forgetting his name.
Dexter Lawrence?
Dexter Lawrence. Yes. Honestly, a pretty filthy pass rush from the Giants. So,
Yeah, and that's about the only good thing they've got now because they
Well-
don't have much of an offense anymore.
they replaced They replaced Saquon Barkley with Devin Singletary. Sorry for stuttering there.
They
But-
are still trying to bring in another running back.
Yeah, I did see that. New York Jets, they got a backup quarterback, not named Zach Wilson, because they pretty sure they don't want him playing next year. They got Tyrod Taylor, who's had some injuries, but respectfully, he's better than Zach Wilson,
They
And-
did bring in an offensive lineman,
which
John
they
Simpson,
need. They absolutely need offensive line help.
trying to protect Vice President Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, if you guys didn't hear about that, Kennedy Jr., I think
What?
Kennedy Jr., right? He's running
No.
for president with Aaron Rodgers as vice.
No, it's John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's running with Aaron Rodgers as his vice president. So if he wins the election, Aaron Rodgers is going to have to split time between actually playing football and being the vice president. So that could be interesting. It probably won't happen, and I'm not plugging for Aaron Rodgers to get voted to be the president. So this is a non-political stance podcast.
Exactly.
Philadelphia Eagles had quite possibly the best of any team at the free agent signing.
Yes, they did a very good job.
They went absolutely off.
First
Bryce-
and foremost, the most important signing that they got Saquon.
any team's going to benefit from getting Saquon, especially the Eagles with their ridiculous offensive line. He's going to go from playing on the second worst offensive line to the best. Even though they lost Chase and Kelsey, I still think they'll have probably top 3 offensive line. Saquon is going to completely tear through teams, and that Eagles offense is going to be nasty. Plus, they got edge rusher Brandon Graham and Bryce Huff not re-signing, right?
Brandon
CJ
Graham
Gardner-Johnson.
re-signed.
Okay.
CJ Gardner-Johnson, they were able to get from the Detroit Lions. He's a very good safety and will replace what they had in Kevin Byard for half a season last year.
Yeah, he was pretty good with them last year, so I'm excited to see this Eagles team. Defense and offense is going to be amazing on both ends.
The Pittsburgh Steelers made a very interesting move.
They traded for Russell Wilson and are paying him.
No. They did not trade for Russell Wilson.
They did not trade for
They
Russell Wilson.
signed Russell Wilson
Like I said,
to a
guys.
minimum contract.
Like I said, I'm off my game today. I'm sorry. I'm trying to push through here, but I'm probably going to go to sleep right after this is filmed. It's, 7:50 right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are tired. Russell Wilson, 1 year, minimum contract. It's kind of like a prove-it deal for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they got linebacker Patrick Queen for 3 years, $41 million. Great signing. He was on that ridiculously lethal Ravens defense last year.
Yes, that's definitely their best signing in free agency so far.
49ers, they stacked up on defense, which they were already really loaded at.
Yes,
so
this is true.
The rich get richer kind of scenario.
I mean, they didn't get like that many high-end starters, but they did do a decent job.
Leonard Floyd will start for them.
Yeah, Leonard Floyd is a good edge player for them. He'll probably replace Chase Young unless they re-sign him. He still hasn't signed yet, so.
Yeah. Seahawks got a different Leonard Williams on the defensive line for 3 years, $64.5 million. Re-signed to Noah Fant and Artie Burns. Not a whole lot of moves there. Tampa Bay re-signed a bunch of their guys. Levante David, Chase McLaughlin, who's their kicker, Antoine Winfield, at the safety position, Mike Evans, and quarterback Baker Mayfield for $115 million over 3 years. It's a lot of money. But they get to keep their core of veteran, proven guys together in a division that is pretty lackluster, which I think they can compete in and maybe even win.
Okay.
The Titans kind of went all out in free agency. They re-signed Chidobe Awuzie, who is arguably their best corner. They got offensive lineman Lloyd Cushenberry, linebacker Kenneth Murray, running back Tony Pollard from the Cowboys for 3 years, $24 million. And it's not listed here because he recently just signed with the Titans.
I didn't think you knew.
Calvin Ridley.
I saw that. I don't know exactly what his contract is, but
4 year, 92 with $50 million guaranteed.
Yes, he's gonna probably be a pretty good fit next to DeAndre Hopkins in that offense. However,
that is a lot of money.
However, the question currently stands is who's going to start at quarterback for them next season?
That is a good question. I think it'll probably be Malik Willis.
It could be.
I can see their offense being pretty good, but their defense, I don't know. And now we are on the last of the 32 teams for their free agent recap. The Commanders, who have basically just plundered the Dallas Cowboys, taking their center Tyler Biotish for 3 years, $30 million, and running back Austin Eckler for 2 years, $11.43 million.
Why did you say they plundered the Cowboys by taking Austin Eckler?
I was thinking Tony Pollard. Oh, my goodness.
Somebody is still tired.
Yeah. But Austin Eckler, kind of a prove-it deal. I mean, at the same time, not really. It might be his last contract he gets because
I was shocked he got the 2 years, $11 million, but good for him. The Commanders made a lot of moves, but they just signed some veterans: Zach Ertz, Marcus Mariota, Eckler. They didn't really do much other than getting that center you were talking about.
Yeah, Tyler Biotish.
Yeah.
So that'll help with their pretty atrocious offensive line. Will they roll Sam Howell next year or get a quarterback in the draft? I think they'll probably get a quarterback in the draft.
Yeah. I'm thinking Jaden Daniels, but we'll see.
I don't know that they'll go anywhere with it. But that leads us to the next part of our NFL segment. Who do you think's winning the AFC, the NFC, and the Super Bowl if it was today as of these recent signings?
Ravens and Eagles. Those are who's winning them.
I can tell you what. The Eagles or the Niners are basically like shoo-ins, in my opinion, to come out of the NFC as the champions.
I feel like you've got a core four of superstar NFL teams now. You got the Ravens, you got the Chiefs, you got the Niners, and you got the Eagles. And I really feel like you can't go any wrong with picking any four of those.
I think there's a lot of good teams in the AFC that could win it if the Chiefs somehow stumble or if Mahomes gets hurt or something like that. In the NFC, I don't really see anybody getting by because it's like there's three superpowers and then it's any one of those three is winning. So Turner is still weeping tears because the hockey team he's watching is completely fumbling scoring. So
Yes, it's disappointing me right now.
Yeah.
We'll get to hockey later though.
in a minute, we'll get to hockey, actually. It's not that far away. So we got, in my opinion, NFC is going to be the Eagles. And in the AFC, I think at this point, you can't really pick against the Chiefs. Like, they kept all of their core players from their championship winning team that barely anyone thought that was going to win the championship. And they released Kadarius Toney, which basically means they're going to get 5 to 6 more catches per season. Getting lucky there. But yeah, I really don't think there's much that needs to be said about the Chiefs winning again.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I'm still going to take the Ravens right now, just based on what they were able to do. But
Right.
if I had to pick a Super Bowl winner as of today, I think I would pick the Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm not an Eagles fan, but the Eagles are flying high right now. And I think unless you factor in Patrick Mahomes, you have to be crazy to not pick the Eagles as the Super Bowl favorites.
Yeah.
But that concludes our NFL session of the podcast. And today we are moving on for our second session to be one that we have never done before, the NHL.
Let's
Hockey.
go.
First off, shout out to my good friend Ben and his family for getting us tickets to go see a AHL hockey game last night. 3-second clap for Ben and his fam. Was a really fun time. Really enjoyed it. Got to, hang out with him, meet some of the players, watch a good game of hockey. So, first of all, thank you to that one fan that got us the one fan vote we needed to be able to put this on the segment. 3-second clap to that one fan. Now, with that out of the way, the people want to know, because we haven't told them, who is your favorite hockey team?
My favorite hockey team is the LA Kings. I'm actually watching their game against the St. Louis Blues right now.
We need an explanation why. Why did you pick the Kings?
Because I'm a Lakers fan and a Dodgers fan, and they happen to also play in LA. It's as simple as that.
Makes perfect sense. And being a Lakers fan, that makes, even more sense than I can imagine, because, the Kings are actually modeled after the Lakers. Originally, their colors were actually purple and gold. So,
Yeah.
we don't know a whole lot about hockey history or about the rules, but we are getting into it. We're watching a lot of hockey games, and we're working on it. My team that I picked to root for, I may have sent a conflicting message with the end of the podcast yesterday by saying like 5 different teams that I was considering rooting for. Because I'm still trying to figure out like who's going to be my guys, but I've found them. I'm going to root for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I know they haven't won the Stanley Cup since 1970 something, but I really love Toronto sports. I'm a Raptors fan and a Bills fan, which is really by Toronto. Plus, their colors are cool. Maple Leafs. Some people won't think it's a cool team name, but I think Maple Leafs is a cool team name. And they got some of the best players in the NHL. So that is why I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. And as always, even though we're fans of specific teams, we will be going into any sports considerations, debates, or topics with absolutely zero biasness.
Yeah.
So, with that out of the way, who are you Stanley Cup faves? Not including the Kings, because they are not winning the Stanley Cup.
Based on my very little bit of hockey knowledge from watching hockey over the past week and a half, I'm gonna go with the Vancouver Canucks.
That is a good pick. The Canucks are really good.
They're pretty good from what I have seen so far. I hope that I will learn more about hockey and get more into it towards the end of the season, so that way hopefully I could give everybody a more enjoyable experience listening to me talk about hockey, because I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about.
Can you name me 2 players on the Vancouver Canucks?
Probably not.
Yeah, that's where our hockey knowledge is at. It's even worse than our infamously bad baseball knowledge, which we'll get into later, sadly.
No, your baseball knowledge is bad.
Yeah. I can list you 2 players on the Canucks, Thatcher Demko and Quinn Hughes, but they're not my team, so yeah.
Yeah, you know more about hockey than I do. So
They're also not my Stanley Cup faves, because I hate to say it as a newly found Maple Leafs fan, but from the games that I've seen the Boston Bruins play, they look absolutely dominant in regulation. In overtime, they stink. They have lost the most games in overtime in the NHL, which if you could send the Bruins to overtime, you can beat the Bruins. But they've currently swept the Maple Leafs in the regular season with no more games to go. And they're top 3 in the Atlantic. And they look really good. They got a great offense, and Jeremy Swayman at goalie. He's like, I think, an all-star this year. So, yeah. I don't want the Bruins to win, but they seem pretty good. And after the trade deadline, I would say Carolina seems poised to make a good run. They got a great team, and they added some good guys to it. So, yeah. We're not going to linger long on hockey. Maybe we will in some other segment, but it's our first week of hockey. Give us some time to, understand the game a little bit more.
I'm trying to watch hockey right now too. Even just trying to learn the game.
Yeah, the more we know about the rules, the players, like the culture, the teams and stuff like that, the more we will be able to give you guys good information and topics about hockey. So just trust us. We will expand our hockey database. We'll watch film, a lot of it.
I'm watching film right now.
We are watching film right now at the same time of filming the podcast, as mentioned 4 times. By the way, did we ever specify where you can listen to the podcast? I think we haven't said that ever. So you're probably listening to this somewhere. If you're listening to it, obviously you're listening to it somewhere. But I'd just like to mention the other streaming services that you can get this podcast on. My dad, who, by the way, a huge plug of the podcast this week on his Facebook page, a 3-second clap to him. Got a lot of viewers because of that. He watches it on Audible, I do believe, actually, which is something I never even thought of and prompted me to bring this up. Our podcast is available on YouTube, where you can just press play and stream the podcast. Where there's no face cam or anything. It's just a picture of our background. But you can listen to us on Amazon Music Podcasts, Spotify for podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, and apparently Audible as well.
Well, Audible is owned by Amazon Music. That's why it's on there.
I did not know that. Thanks for that information. The more you know.
Okay.
To find us, all you have to do is search at Habaneros Hot Takes to start listening today and enjoy. Although you probably are already listening today if you're listening to this right now. And I also forgot to do this. My aunt asked me for a 3-second clap for her fandom of the Packers. She is a very big Packers fan and just wanted to get shouted out on the podcast. So I will shout her out. 3-second clap. One of the biggest sports fans I know. Devotion to the Packers is off the charts. From what I can tell, the Packers have a great fan base. Every Packers fan I meet is Packers. They're not as good as the Bills fan base. Sorry to roast all you Packers fans. They truly are not as good as Mafia. Mafia is the best in sports, unbiased.
Okay.
Actually very biased, but still. Should we do NBA or MLB next?
I think we save NBA. I think we save the NBA for last.
I'll say this much. It's been kind of a very boring week in the NBA. By the way, just so you guys know, we were going to do Trivia Week this week until the NFL decided to go absolutely ham and ruin our Trivia Week because we had to talk about the NFL free agency market.
Yeah.
So we decided to postpone Trivia Week, and we will be doing Trivia Week next week, testing each other's knowledge on it. And we'll be putting up some polls on Spotify so that you guys can participate in the trivia that we play in. It won't be the same questions that we answer, so that you won't get the answers on the podcast and any spoilers, but you can play and, maybe have some fun with it.
It sucks that I can only put up the poll on Spotify.
Yeah. You guys need to subscribe to our YouTube channel right now so that we can put up the poll on YouTube so that, you guys can do the poll on YouTube. Just because. Not a whole lot of places have polls, but let's talk about the MLB.
Okay.
There's a lot of free agent pitchers and non-free agent pitchers in the MLB right now, and it's kind of been a crisis, especially with the free agents. The one non-free agent pitcher, or 2, I guess, or 3, I was going to say 2, and then a third one popped to mind, that I was going to talk about were Chris Sale, what? Dylan Cease, Kodai Senga, and Garrett Cole, not Chris Sale. My bad.
None of those are free agents. Is that what you're trying?
Yes.
I'm confused.
What I'm trying to say is those 3 aren't free agents. Those are the 3 non-free agents I'm talking about.
Okay. You confused 3.
Sorry if I confused you 2, audience. The first one, Dylan Cease, the reason I want to talk about him is because he recently was traded from the Chicago White Sox to the San Diego Padres. Yeah, and by recently, I mean this literally happened within the hour. So
yeah, we still have no information on any of the details of this trade, but it happened, And
Yeah.
I'm not happy about it as a Dodgers fan.
We don't know what the Padres had to cough up for Chris Sale.
I don't know. Is it up yet? Do we know?
I'm checking right now. Keep talking while I do this.
Oh, okay.
Find something to talk about.
Dylan Cease should be a pretty good acquisition for the Padres, though. Especially he's gonna really fill that role that they lost Blake Snell in, and like I think he might actually open the Seoul series next week.
If they can get him in time. Anyways, I'm back with the information that the White Sox received Drew Thorpe, the fourth-ranked prospect in the Padres system. Jairo Iriarte, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm so sorry if I'm not. Samuel Zavala and Steven Wilson from the Padres. So a bunch of minor league guys.
Yeah.
Honestly, a pretty good deal from the Padres, who recently lost Blake Snell. So, excuse me for a second. I need a sip of water. My throat is very hoarse.
But yeah, he should be a good replacement, filling in that ace role that the Padres really needed. But we'll see if that allows them to go all the way.
Yeah. And Garrett Cole is expected to miss 1 to 2 weeks with a right elbow injury. Just want to put that out there. He's not going to play
1 to 2
opening
weeks,
day.
bro. 1 to 2 months.
1 to 2 months? I thought, did I read it wrong?
Oh, yeah, man.
Holy cow, 1 to 2 months? That's huge for the Yankees. Man, I'm so off my game today. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, bro. We could obviously tell you were quite tired.
I will be rested up for the podcast next week. Don't worry.
Okay.
We're actually filming it on Tuesday, so any information that comes out on Wednesday, we won't be able to mention on the podcast because Wednesday is me and Turner's birthday. I'm going to use this sound machine to give us a little clap. Dang, if we use that instead of the 3-second clap, each of these videos would be like 2 hours long.
Yeah, that's more of a 6-second clap right there.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. But how old are you turning, Turner?
We are both turning 16, so very excited.
Yes, we are. It's our 16th birthday. Gonna be able to drive soon, so. Excuse me. Pretty momentous occasion.
But back to sports.
Yes, no one wants to hear about our birthday. Yeah. So Garrett Cole out 1 to 2 months, and Kodai Senga. I don't remember how long he's out, but he's also out.
Yeah, he's out for about probably a month, is what they said.
So some big injuries going around pitching wise, and Aaron Judge is having an MRI done too. So the Yankees could be kind of screwed to start the year.
Aaron Judge is going to be fine. His MRI already came back clean. He should probably be ready to go by opening day. If not, maybe he misses a week. But
thank you so much for saving my baseball knowledge, man.
Well, you're carrying my hockey knowledge.
Yeah,
so
you carry this segment, and I carry the hockey segment as of now. So I can't wait for baseball to be back. Speaking of baseball being back, the Seoul series between the San Diego Padres and the Los Angeles Dodgers is officially, I was going to say kicking off. But
it's in 1 week, bro.
It's in a week from today. Or technically when this goes viral, not viral because it won't go viral. When this goes live, it will be 6 days from today because it will be Thursday evening.
That is true.
So both teams are headed to Seoul to play March 20th at 5 in the morning where we live.
I know. I might be up watching it.
Yeah. They're playing a game in Seoul, or 2. I think it's 2.
It's 2.
And then they're flying back and finishing spring training against the Angels. So the
Dodgers are finishing spring training against the Angels. The Padres aren't. But the Dodgers literally fly to Seoul to play 2 regular season games and then come back and play more spring training. It's the weirdest schedule I've ever seen. Yeah, this is really a first-time thing for the MLB, playing a game over in Asia, in South Korea. But it's pretty cool. I'm kind of excited for it.
I would be excited for it if it wasn't at 5 in the morning.
And I'm sure there should be a big Dodger fan turnout because of the signings they made and their popularity over there in Asia.
Yeah, one specific signing in particular comes to mind. Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
He's going to be popular anywhere he goes. But
yeah.
And then one more thing about the MLB. There are a ton of free agent pitchers still just sitting. What's going on?
I think we should see some of those remaining free agent pitchers sign here probably about the next week, especially after the information on all of these pitcher injuries that are starting to come out.
Yeah. Blake Snell, who literally won the Cy Young last season, is still a free agent, as well as Jordan Montgomery, who was one of the best pitchers on a championship winning team.
And there's one more important free agent pitcher. And this one's pretty actually exciting for us because I have met him. I know him.
Our,
He's
our
connected.
mother actually babysat him when he was little, so that's
He
kind of cool.
wasn't. He was an all-star last year.
He was.
so-
He threw a no-hitter last year. Michael Lorenzen. 3-second clap for Michael Lorenzen. One more thing I'd like to say about Michael is he is absolutely jacked. He has huge muscles. I'm trying to get like him for real.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's a ton of market for these guys right now, but they're being very stubborn in their ways, which good
Yeah.
for them, honestly. They deserve the money that they're gonna get.
Scott Boras ain't gonna let them sign for anything less than what they're looking for.
Nope, not at all. And I think Blake Snell's probably the best option out there, which is it's shocking he hasn't signed because he's a Cy Young candidate, but he's also getting a little up there in age. And there are a few factors that could play into them not signing yet. One is money; they could be asking for too much, and two is years; they could be asking for too long of a contract. So
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense.
three is also contention. Non-contenders could be asking them to sign, and they could be denying them. So
Yeah, I guess that's true.
excuse me while I take one more sip of water. Turner, want to plug anything? Go for it now.
Well, I'm sure we're all excited for the MLB season to start next week, but I guess it's time to get into the NBA news. Jackson, what do we got?
It is. Here's the drum roll on what we got in the NBA. A whole lot of nothing. I timed that poorly, but it's been as far as the NBA goes, recently it's been a rather boring week, you know. Other than one thing, there's been a lot of injuries, which is sad.
There's one more thing that's been happening this week.
The
Luka
Lakers.
Doncic.
Oh yeah, Luka. I thought you were gonna say the Lakers. The Lakers have been winning a lot as of recently.
That is true. But Luka Doncic is currently attempting to go for his 8th straight 20-point triple-double tonight, which would be an NBA record.
NBA record. That's really impressive.
Yes, it is. It feels like Luka is breaking these records like all the time, man. He's just having a fantastic month right now.
It feels like my Toronto Raptors are trying to go for the NBA record in games sold in right now. At
There's
halftime, they
no
were
way.
up by 5 to the Pistons, and in the fourth, they're currently losing by 13 points.
Oof.
So,
You're gonna get swept by the Pistons.
I think so. Washington officially out of the playoffs, as well as San Antonio, with Boston officially being in.
I don't know how Detroit still has not been eliminated
They're-
yet,
they're
but they're
not out
still
yet.
fighting.
They're hanging on somehow.
Detroit Pistons late season playoff push, baby. Let's go.
Respectfully, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen because they were like surefire for that number 1 pick in the draft this season, and they've been winning too many games. Oh, we just got a breaking news snippet.
We already knew this.
Eric Kendricks is signing with the Cowboys instead of the 49ers.
We already knew this. We said he signed with the Cowboys during the free agent part.
You guys can go back and watch that, but it just popped up on my phone. Breaking news now. So I just assumed it had happened now.
Nah, man. You know that we got all the breaking news. We get it faster than any other sports sites you use. So
Yeah. Man, I figured this was going to be a long episode because we added another sport, but this is still under an hour. This is currently on pace to be our shortest episode.
yeah, it feels like there hasn't been too much stuff in sports this week, but
Yeah. I mean, other than injury bug, which is sad, we've seen 2 people go down with probably season-ending injuries this week in the NBA. Benedict Mathurin, I think he tore his something.
yeah, I think it was a torn labrum.
Yeah, that's shoulder for you non-medical nerds out there. Not saying Turner is a medical nerd, but labrum's kind of a fancy term.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's out for the year. Alperen Sengun took a nasty fall in a game against the Kings, and he severely sprained his ankle.
And bruised his knee, but he might
Yeah.
come back. I don't expect him to, though.
I'm not going to, show a clip of the injury or anything. You guys can go look that up on your own terms, but it was nasty. It is shocking that he has a chance to come back. So,
Yeah.
Celtics surprisingly haven't been winning a whole lot. Yeah, they lost back-to-back games at one point even.
Yeah, but all in all, it's been a pretty quiet week for all the sports other than football. I feel like football's really been taking a spotlight this week.
That is true.
But when you got baseball ramping up, about to get started here in a week, and then you've got both hockey and basketball getting ready to make playoff pushes, it's about to be that time where sports are going to get really busy.
I guarantee next week we'll have much more stuff to talk about. Yeah, also, in the summer, get ready for some intense podcasting because we've got NBA Finals, live basketball, Stanley Cup, and we might be including one more thing next week because next week March Madness starts, and that could be a really good thing to include on the podcast.
Yeah, we should probably bring that up because that's pretty important.
Yeah, we'll try and figure out a way to put a link for a March Madness bracket in the bio or something, but yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we can figure that out.
You guys should totally watch March Madness if you're not, because it's awesome. It's big old college basketball tournament with 64 teams to decide who's the best college basketball team.
Yeah, it's pretty fun to watch. Teams have been clinching tickets all week.
I would say it's the best format for any college playoff I've ever seen. College football playoffs is good, but way too short. 4-3 games?
They're changing it this year, so that's exciting.
They are changing it this year. I think they're making it like a 16-team format. So,
well, also probably have to cover the Olympics over the summer too.
oh yeah, somehow I almost forgot about the Olympics. The Olympics are happening in Paris this year, and we will give you guys a recap on who wins what stuff like that. You know.
Yeah. But I think that's all for today's episode, Jax.
Yeah. Until next week, guys. I think we got a whole lot of nothing left. So thank you for tuning in. And have a great week. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for watching Habaneros Hot Takes, where the
takes are spicy and the jokes are funny.